Okay, let's go.
Hello there, Chick Chatters. We're back with the Teen Mom Family Reunion never-ending episodes. This is episode 11, and I honestly did think we was done, but apparently we is not done. So this episode starts back off with Briana coming back with that dude, but everybody's being so creepy and listening to her, and it's like nobody's ever seen a one-night stand happen before, not even on TV or something.
It was weird.
They brought these girls in at the very end for a little glimmer of extraness, but as we see, the girls' mom is just here for no reason. She came along just for one episode of chaos, and they used her at the end, and then I don't really see much of her after that. Kaya's there to kind of like, I don't know, she's there to go through therapy, but at the same time, I don't know, this episode for some reason really irked me, like really bad. And I think you were right. It needed to stop at 10 episodes.
Yeah,
because
they really could have smashed this season into 10. These are unnecessary.
I felt like it was just overstaying its welcome. The only interesting part of this morning part, other than Briana walking out in a towel and looking at everybody look at her, is Tyler walking out and seeing the draws out. Oh man, I missed last night. Like I missed every other night since Macy left.
Right. Honestly. Maybe he's in love with Macy. He just hasn't been the same since she's been gone.
Him and Caitlin were going on this episode about quality time, this and that. I'm like, well, you guys definitely got a lot of quality time this trip. Y'all didn't do much of nothing after Macy left.
They kind of got the best of both worlds, I guess, if you think about it. They got the beginning part was this nice couple's vacation, and now the end part is they're secluded, little boot up.
The morning was just filled with people shaming Briana about her nightstand and Kaya freaking out about her phone not working. It was so melodramatic, this whole scene. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys. I felt like production played it up more than it was. I feel like, yeah, she was upset she couldn't get a hold of her mom and stuff. I know that was creating anxiety for her, but why was Tyler the only one offering his phone? She walked by 10 other people to get to him. Not another person was like, here's my phone.
I think she went for Tyler. Tyler is kind of a safe person. I feel like maybe she just went to go be comforted by him, but no, I agree. The whole thing was over dramatic. Again, I watched her in Young and Pregnant, and she was this way every single day about every single daily task. So I see a lot of growth in her, although it is a big reminder of how exhausting she used to be, and that really is just kind of there under the surface.
But it felt like everyone was like overacting. Like Tyler's in his confessional, it clicks for me. And I'm like, what clicked for you? All she did was walk out of the room upset because she can't call somebody and everything's clicking for you. I don't know. It just felt like it was over dramatic. Tyler takes the opportunity to send her on a walk while he calls Dr. Mike to come talk to her. And she didn't seem thrilled by that at first when she talked about getting a session with Dr. Mike, even though she obviously really needed one and wanted one.
That's exactly how he took it upon himself. And I got the same vibe that maybe that wouldn't have been her choice to do, but I do think that she's trying to be open and less triggered, less sensitive, take things less personally. What Tyler was trying to do there was a kind thing, although he did seems like take it upon himself without really asking, do you want me to call somebody? He just was like, Dr. Mike's on the way, which is good. It's a good way to support somebody in a real way instead of just saying that you support somebody, especially if you have access to a therapist like that. But it was so funny because Kaya was over there cooking, which I feel like is one of her coping skills, a way of therapy for her. She got all this food out. She's gonna cook when she was upset. A lot of people do that. She had this big ass knife in her hand, and here comes Dr. Mike. And I was like, oh, she's not gonna want to walk away from this. I had a lot of respect for her for just being open to leaving all that chicken out there to just sit and rot.
Yeah, because none of the other girls is gonna cook it. They're not gonna cook it right.
Mackenzie might.
Sorry, that threw me. They do show us a therapy session with Dr. Mike and Kaya, and that was nice to kind of dig deep into her because honestly, I never watched Young and Pregnant, so it's nice to see a little bit more of the backstory behind her. And it was nice to see Dr. Mike not fumble the bag this time.
So nice, yeah. He did a good job here.
It was like back-to-back therapy sessions for some reason because Briana had a one-night stand and she needed a therapy session after that. She's like, this isn't what I'm here for. And I'm like, what else are you here for? I don't understand why you people came here at the end of the dang show. What else? How deep can you get? There's 2 episodes left.
That's true. But in general, it seems like unless they're doing a lot of other therapy off screen, which they could be, I suppose, therapists are there basically on call. But it seems like everyone is just getting at least one televised session. So maybe they've been doing other work, maybe they have access to them afterwards, but I totally get what you're saying. As far as coming here, having a one night stand, I don't know what kind of healing you're going to get, but maybe some insight to take home. I'm not saying one session can't be productive for either of these girls, but yeah, I agree with you in general. It's
Yeah.
like, really?
I felt like this was the episode that everyone's hyping up the therapy or something. Is this like the
The
advertisement?
therapy for the singles episode. That's what
Mhm.
the purpose of this episode was. We brought these singles in. Now we have to therapize them, so we'll just shove it into this last episode before the last episode.
Everyone but the girls' mom. So we get
Yeah.
into Briana's session and we got some good stuff. We know that Briana's dad cut her out around the time of her 16 and pregnant, and she delved a little bit deeper into her man issue, but it seems like she also knew a lot of her issues as well. It was nice to watch Micaiah because I do like watching her connect dots with her as a therapist. I was going to ask you what you thought of her little advice at the end about brushing your teeth with your left hand instead of your right hand. I've never heard of that before, so I thought that was quite interesting.
I've never heard of that before either. I kind of roll my eyes, I guess, because it seems I
A
don't know
bit
what it seems.
silly, a bit silly, or a bit
Sometimes it
like
seems a bit silly.
gooey.
Yeah, it kind of seems silly, but at the same time, I can't dog it. I don't think it's completely irrational or invalid. And I've studied psychology for the chick chatters that are wondering why am I answering this. But I think, I don't know, I could see how it would work. But in general, I could also see how brushing your teeth with your correct hand and still saying those I am valuable things to yourself in the mirror could probably do just about the same amount of change and growth than brushing it with your left hand. Although there is something with doing something novel, as long as you're good at keeping a habit, that could maybe make that a little bit more concrete in someone's mind. But I
Mhm.
think in general, if you're just going to say some affirmations to yourself, there's a whole lot of research that's evidence based there that says that those things can be helpful. So if you want to brush your teeth with the wrong, I almost said the wrong foot. If you want to brush your teeth with your feet while you're doing it, that's probably fine too.
I don't know why my mind just kept going on all different things, but as she's telling Brianna to do this, I just keep picturing Roxanne watching her brush her teeth. Like, Brianna, you're using the wrong hand. Why are you doing this, Brianna?
What's wrong with you? Must you be hospitalized?
It was nice to see those little therapy sessions back to back with them. I was like, where is this episode going? Because they kept kind of sprinkling in Kayla and Ryan's pregnancy problem with Corey and everything else. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just getting ridiculous. They're talking about this decision, like they're deciding whether or not to get a puppy. It was strange. Baiting me with this baby decision the entire episode. Will they, won't they? And I'm like, this is horrible, you guys. This isn't like, will they, won't they buy a car? Will they, won't they get a house? Will they, won't they date? This is will they, won't they child. Are you kidding?
No, I totally get that too. And
Too
you know what's
white.
dumb about this whole thing is that you and I have chosen partially because I don't think we care very much and partially just so that we can live in the moment, but we've chosen not to really look up what's happened with this pregnancy or with this baby or anything.
Oh,
But
I did
the fact
actually. This
I
after the
I
last
know now too.
episode.
Yeah, no, I know now too what has happened, but in the beginning, neither one of us knew what's happened, and that's another reason it's so annoying that they are dangling it in this way and making it such a storyline because you can easily look up and see that they had a healthy baby. So just stop it.
But if for some reason somebody didn't look it up, then you're just dangling the life of a child in front of us like it's fun or something. Like,
Mhm.
okay, so they start off by having Ryan talk with Corey. He walks him
I
out of the
did
front
not
gate.
get this conversation at
It
all.
was
What
strange. I don't understand the purpose of it really, but I felt like they just needed to throw Corey back in there because he drunkenly put himself in the middle of it one night. Yeah, let's just circle back to that. But nothing really
I
happened with
think
that.
Corey's the only one that's also willing to talk to Ryan at this point because Ryan has pinched everyone's nipples so much that nobody cares to speak with him anymore. Everyone
Like,
has their guard up.
I don't blame Tyler or Sean if they're trying to stay away from that for a minute. Goes from that to Ryan planning a date with Kayla, and they made this thing look like he was about to propose or something. I was like, what is this? Taylor would just lose her mind if these people got engaged right now on the beach.
Yeah,
on a
totally.
picnic when they didn't even know if they're keeping their child. Mind you, this woman is in her confessional, like, I don't trust them.
I mean, you're right. It's totally possible that there could have been an engagement happening there because he has been so adamant this whole time that if I'm gonna have my first child, I'm gonna marry that woman for no reason at all. So you're right. There really could have been an engagement going on there, but instead they decide that they're going to keep the baby. And honestly, my favorite part is that they decide that they're gonna get a therapist when they go home. And
I was
Ryan
thinking,
suggested it, and I was like,
mhm.
"Okay, that's something. That is something for real." Because Kayla has kept the baby with baby daddy after baby daddy, and that does not mean nothing about nothing. That just means a
Right.
child will exist. But if she goes to real therapy with Ryan, I think some good thing could happen, whether they stay together or not.
What was also driving me nuts about this episode is Kayla and Ryan specifically were hyping up this therapy that they've gotten, which I've only seen them have one session. I mean, mind you, I'm at home. I know that they might have done a little bit more. These people came on the trip late, drove separately, and then
Mhm.
they got a little bit of therapy, and then all of a sudden they're changed people and they're keeping their baby. And it was
No,
just crazy.
I was just as confused and put off as you were actually when I was watching this, and I wrote this in my notes. Apparently, they gained all these skills and tools to improve their connection. And it's like they must be in more therapy than they're showing on screen, which I would support. And I think it would be a
Oh,
wonderful thing. But I don't know if they really are.
I don't know. What I do know is that it looked really weirdly edited, put together. "Oh, we're just doing so great. Now we're going to have this baby, and now we're going to dangle it in front of everyone. We're going to dangle it." So that's what they do. This whole
Yeah.
episode was so strange to me, just the ping ponginess of it. In the middle
Hmm.
of it, at some point, Cheyenne's trying to plan a sweet 16 for the people who didn't have a sweet 16, but all those people want to go to bed.
Hmm.
And it's really just her and the ones who probably had a sweet six something.
See, I spent this whole part confused because I thought that this was just like a 2000s party.
I think she kind of had to merge it that way because the people who she was trying to give a sweet 16, like Caitlin and Tyler, who want to be in bed, Briana, who actually wants to be in bed, Leah, the girls' mom, is probably the only one who was there, which is why I think Cheyenne looked there and said, "It's your party." Cheyenne was so awkward when she's going around the table. "You guys all have sweet 16s." I would have felt just like Cheyenne. Everybody's there sitting in their trauma all day, and this girl's turn to speak. She's hoping Taylor's got something better to say than "I got my license." No,
Yeah.
the privileged white girl couldn't help her. So she then has to say,
Probably the second best compared to Cheyenne.
that's what I'm saying. She couldn't even help her in that moment. She was hoping Taylor would say something, something
Privilege.
else. And
Yeah.
there was nothing. And then Cheyenne had to give it all and be like, "My mom sent me to Hawaii when I was 16." And then for some reason, I had this moment where I like stared off into the wall and I'm like, why is Cheyenne on this show? I know she got pregnant by Corey, but that's literally the only reason because she is not a teen mom. She was like 24, 25. Her kids go to school with like the Kardashians. I'm like, why is she on this show? She could be on other shows. Why is she on this show?
I don't know if she could have been on other shows though before she was on Teen Mom.
Okay,
Like,
but if you would have told me 10 years ago that this girl was going to be on Teen Mom, I would have been like, why? For what?
right, right. No, I hear you. I hear you, but I don't know what kind of other platform she could be on in a reality show sense.
I don't know, but they'll come up with something. Where does she live? Calabasas. They'll make a city thing. Her and a couple of the young moms can have a show. I don't know, Real Housewives
Calabasas
style.
Moms. Calabasas Moms Club.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I don't care. But I just kept thinking she is so different than everybody else here on this show.
She definitely is.
So she must sit through a few awkward moments sometimes. She's been through some things. I mean, she's been through her shooting. She's been through some crazy things with whatever happened with Mackenzie. I'm not saying that Cheyenne has lived a completely sheltered life. I'm just saying, like, her experiences as a teenager compared to
Mhm.
these people experiences as a teenager just is
Mhm.
not the same. Like,
And even if we take resources, like financial resources and things like that out of it, Cheyenne also has two loving, supportive
Mhm.
parents who are not just supportive in an emotional way, but they show up. They are always there for her when she got surgeries, when she went through her shooting, whenever she has arguments with people. They always have good, rational advice that they can provide. It's not like Kate and Ty's parents. I shouldn't say like Ty's mom is bad, but she also doesn't show up as much.
Yeah.
And that's because she works and things like that. It's not because she doesn't love them enough. But I don't know, it
Mhm.
just seems like Cheyenne's parents are always there, especially her dad
Right.
is a huge presence in her life. And he's funny and likable, but he's also rational. He gives her really good advice too. She's
I
lucky.
like that she's there. I just sometimes look at her compared to everybody else, and I'm like,
Which I guess it is good too, because we used to have it wasn't always like this, but when Chelsea was on there, she became a boring, normal person
mhm.
once Cole came in the picture. And we really do kind of need a more normal vibe, one that's
Mhm.
less drama and chaos and a little more stable. So she does bring the
Yeah.
stability. Zach is like a whole, I don't know what he is. Like, he does fraud, he sells drugs, he does all of it. I don't know what he does to make people feel better,
Allegedly. We don't know.
allegedly.
I would say that their co-parenting relationship is the main focus of a lot of their storyline, which is really
Yeah.
nice to see because I'm not gonna lie, that was something we were missing throughout Teen Mom series the whole time. That was nice. That 2000s party came and went like that. I don't even know. They showed one little dance
And
TikTok thing, and that was pretty.
at the end of it, Kayla takes it upon herself to fully announce that she's keeping the baby.
I was sitting there literally thinking, what if she decided the other way around? Were they really gonna be like, we have decided to not keep the
To
baby?
have an like, what
What?
are people gonna do after that? Are you serious? Were you gonna do that either way? I doubt it, but no, I thought the same exact thing. It's like, would you still be announcing this at a whole party if you were going the other way? I hope not.
This is where I was like, why did they dangle this for episodes? This is not right. This is
It is weird.
it is so uncomfortable. I was like, okay, I need these people to go back home now and get into some
Well, and
therapy. They should have.
they could have left it at that little beach picnic. They did not have to do this whole
Well, yeah, because they
announcement.
gather everybody and then they make them wait as well. It's not even like they just walked in the room and were like, "We're keeping the baby." They're like, "Well, we've decided." And like, mind you,
Uh-huh.
these people are wondering about the fate of a child. Especially Corey over here is about to go gray. And
I
these
know.
people just announce it like they've announced that they're going shopping.
And I support people's choice. I am very much a pro-choice person. I'm just gonna say that and claim that for myself. But I think people should also be sensitive to the fact that there are people who think differently and feel very strongly about that as well. And I
Mhm.
understand and I'm happy that people are talking about making these choices on TV and opening it up to have these topics of conversation. I respect that. But I
Mhm.
just think it's, like, flaunted a little too much in the sense
Yeah.
that they're making an announcement that they're going to keep it, and it makes both of us think, "Well, what if you guys weren't going to keep it? Would you be flaunting it this much?" And I just think that that's insensitive regardless of where
Yeah.
you are on the choice matter. There's a fine line. I want them to have these conversations and the contemplating part in a therapy kind of situation on TV, but make the choice amongst yourselves and leave
Yeah.
it there. I think that would have been more sensitive, not to have
Yeah.
a weird announcement. And then on top of that, not only do they announce they're going to keep their baby, but they lift their arms all around each other and they're like, oh, yeah, and we're going to be in a relationship and we're done whoring. As Kayla likes to say every 20 minutes, bitch. Please do not ever say that again.
It was really tacky, even more so than, like, what people think is the right choice or wrong choice. There are people who've probably gone through that, and the last thing they're gonna do is walk in a room and be like, "I've decided to." It's very insensitive to people who've gone through it as well or
Kayla
made
went
that
through it, and she did it on TV, and I'm telling you, she did not have a fucking party to tell people about it. She barely wanted the cameras there, understandably. And
Mhm.
again, I respect her for being open. I think that takes a lot of courage, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the production should have been a little more involved in making sure that it was also careful
Mhm.
and thoughtful about the topic involved.
I have a hot take too. Obviously, they knew the whole time she was probably going to keep this baby because you can't throw that kind of thing around like that so lightheartedly You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That would have been an even worse taste. It's like, okay, so these people knew that this wasn't going to happen, and
Yeah.
they dangled it and did all types of storylines around it, and it just feels like it's icky all the way around. I just
It
feel
was.
like they really could have left this part out. Like, this could have been something that they talked about in a therapy session, but it didn't have to be episodes on episodes of storyline, and then they're gonna announce it like they just announced
The
gender
gender
of
of
this
the
thing.
yeah. It was so weird. It was so weird.
I-
On top of that, to be like, we're not whores anymore. Okay.
That's why I was just done with these episodes at that point. And then at the end, they want to dangle a possible engagement between Corey and Taylor. And I was like, okay, I'm done with this whole entire series right now. It's time. I don't even need to watch episode 12. I already know that's probably not going to happen. And if it does happen, then I'm going to be annoyed anyways. Because
If it does happen, I'm gonna have a lot more respect for this whole season in general, because what an end to the season. But I don't know. Highly doubtful. My guess right
Taylor,
now is no.
well, I wouldn't want to be Taylor and waiting 6 years just to be proposed to on the tail end of all this trash. I don't know. I get Colombia, this and that, but I feel like Corey said before, I have it all planned out, I this and that, and I don't think this is it. I feel like that's just to tease us again, just like they've been teasing us with that Tyler soundbite that I never saw what he was talking about. The only thing I saw Tyler upset about was the fact that he didn't learn enough Spanish. So he was going through the dang fridge, pulling things out, looking them up, Googling them. That's what
Well, they
Tyler was.
went on this little date towards the end of the episode. There was a little space where he started to cry right where the episode cut out. So they were talking about maybe they shouldn't be caretakers for each other anymore. And that's the clip that they had been dangling in front of us. But it was more of an exploratory curiosity question between the two of them, reflecting on the fact that they've cared for each other for so long, rather than, I can't believe I've taken care of you for so long. We should really
Yeah,
be more independent.
I pretty much figured it was like a semantics thing. We're not going to call it caretaking. We just take care of each other. And that's just what we do because we love each other. And then they show Tyler starting to cry. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, now they're going to do another melodramatic thing. These people really ran out of stuff in these episodes. They should have cut it off at 10, been done with it.
When we come back, I can guarantee that they're going to be at Tyler starting to cry, and this man's going to wipe the two little tears and be like, I just love you so much. I'm so grateful. And then we're going to cut into whatever's going on at the condo. It's not going to be nothing.
At this point, the only thing I even want to see is a therapy session with the girls' mom where she talks about Jalen. If that doesn't happen, then I don't care to see anything else. I'm good. Otherwise, why was she there other than to get in one drunk fight about undercurrent with the girls' mom? She's been to Costa Rica. She should know about undercurrent.
That's so true.
I'm over these episodes. The one thing that
Yeah.
was kind of giving was Briana and the man who couldn't communicate, but then that was also giving me match me abroad energy. So I was like, okay, I can watch this elsewhere in a different form. So,
And they kind of like, I don't like the way that they left us on a cliffhanger with that. Just show us the whole little hookup scene and have it be a funny thing. It doesn't need to go over into the next week of me wonder. We all know what happened and what's going to happen. There's positive and negative to this season. It's still my favorite season of the Teen Mom reunion little sub franchise. I like where they're going with this, everyone being all in one house, and I like the couples vibe. I know they've been switching it up every season. I hope they keep the couples real world house vibe going for a couple more seasons.
I'm just ready to see Jenelle in the Teen Mom regular series, and I know that that's going to be dangled till the end.
I actually feel like she's gonna be in probably the first or second episode, but that's
But to bait me, because I swear, at least this season, I felt like I was totally baited. They started me off strong with Corey and Taylor's issues, and then they like pause on them for me to watch all this other chaos. Me wondering about the health of a child. I just went through it too much with this season. I didn't even know these people were coming. I didn't even know who half these people were. But then all of a sudden, I got way too invested. People are almost dying on jet skis. There's just too much. Too much.
So we do have the season finale next episode. It looks like everyone's going to go on a boat trip. Jade and Sean are going to take some sexy photos. And I don't know, they're teasing that Corey and Taylor might get engaged, but I don't buy it.
See it. I don't buy that at all. If they do get engaged, I will be shocked. And
I don't have a problem with being wrong, but I just don't see it happening.
I would be upset, honestly, if I was Taylor, that it just happened on a whim
That she
here.
spent
Not
this
like,
whole season having to pour her heart out about it. Meanwhile, he probably had this ring in the back of the closet the whole time.
and then you got to follow up with an engagement after somebody just announced they were keeping a child, like they were keeping a puppy. I don't know. This just feels too much.
What if Corey was gonna get engaged or propose to her that night, and then he was like, "Oh, I can't do it now because
I stole all my equipment." What if all that picnic stuff was actually Corey's stuff for Taylor, and Ryan just kind of walked by and was like, "Oh, she would
He
love
just came and
this."
sat down. Oh yeah, Corey, this is a good idea. Thanks.
Poor Corey. I don't see it happening on TV like that. Even in the clip, Taylor just looked annoyed. So I don't think that that's really what's happening. I think maybe he was trying to hype them up for a second and she was just like, yeah, cool, whatever. And then he probably presented her with a promise ring.
I fucking hope not. I think you're right. She did look annoyed. Now I'm worried that that probably won't even go over well, but she's going to be forced to have to fake a smile about it because it's supposed to be some weird BS for the season finale.
Taylor wasn't even most happy about them keeping the child. I don't want to say keeping the child, but just keeping the Ryan.
Keeping the Ryan. Yeah, I agree. He needs to go.
I think she's just as confused as I was, and she's there. So that shows me that I'm not off. I think they're off.
They are.
I texted Brooke actually right after I watched it. I was like, yep, they should have kept that to 10 episodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We are ready to get off of the roller coaster ride. I didn't even see the girls as well in this episode.
I just saw her in the background a few times. She did a couple ad libs every now and then. Cheyenne asked her about her 16th birthday, where they showed a little flashback of Leah talking way too much about what's going on with her medically when she was 16 and pregnant and everything was bright pink and gray. And she's like, well, maybe some people didn't have an environment and that they could have a 16th birthday party or whatever. And I was like, you were pregnant.
That was the only cameo we got of the girls as mom.
That was a weird episode. I felt like that was just filler, trying to tie up loose ends. But then they left a whole other episode. What's in this other episode other than Corey and Taylor's maybe proposal? What?
Looks like they're going to go on a weird boat trip to like kind of tie up and reflect on the whole season. Then we're going to see Jade and Sean have sexy pictures. And that's probably going to be it.
Oh, good. I'm glad I stuck it out for that.
Stick with us, Chick Chatters. Just one more episode.
One more episode, Chick Chat.
And we'll let you guys know in the season finale what our plan is for covering Teen Mom. We're going back and forth about what we want to do exactly for covering that because it's also running into Perfect Match for Netflix. We're just doing this as a fun thing on the side. So we probably don't have the capacity to cover them all yet.
We'll see.
This has been a doozy of an episode, so thanks for sticking with us. And we'll see you on the finale, and then we'll ramp up to see Jenelle come back.
I can't wait.
I am not a Jenelle stan, by the way, but I just need something to make this franchise do something.
I full-heartedly agree. In fact, I think when she was originally fired, I was totally fine with it. I was like, whatever.
I was excited to be done with that for a while.
I was just done with him, mainly. I did not want to give that man a single dollar made by anybody else. And mind you, he still is yet to make himself a single dollar, really.
He just released a rap song recently.
I don't know, but I'm excited to see Jenelle again. I need new life brought into that nonsense. And
she's going to give us something. So I'll take it. I'll take whatever she got to give.
I'm happy that her Netflix deal, whatever that was, didn't go through. Her Amazon deal, whatever that was, she was throwing at us in 2017, because now we can have her back almost 10 years later.
Thank you to all the trolls for never letting Jenelle ever get another job.
Thank y'all, especially y'all who bought the eyebrow stuff and came for her after that.
Or who called the podcast that she signed up for to be a regular guest on, and then all of a sudden no more podcasts.
Another one too with workout clothes.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of clothing brand deal, and they already had the clothes made and everything. They probably just burned those things. They were like, no. It's Teen Mom or bust for Jenelle. It's the only place that she can be accepted on. And to be honest, I know there are some people who are going to have an absolute fit that she's back on this too, but this is the only place she can be.
Well, thank you for joining us, Chick Chat. Like, subscribe, reduce, reuse, recycle, Briana, all the things.
Bye-bye.